Alright, hey everybody, this is a pretty rare video blog from me, the Undead Viking. I don't do these very often. I've always said that I would only do these when I had something to say, and if you guys tune in and watch my weekly hangout, the Alaboom, every Wednesday, that's usually my stage that I get to use to talk about what I have to say as far as whatever's going on in the world or what have you. So, regardless, I'm doing this because I just set up a video to render, and then I have to upload it, and it should be done here in about 20 minutes or so. I got home, actually I went to Star Wars, Force Awakens. My wife and I went to the first showing at 7:45 here in Fargo, North Dakota. I live in Moorhead, but we drove to Fargo, which is, you know, a 5-minute drive, not even. And we went to go see The Force Awakens. Now, my wife is not a huge Star Wars nerd. I am. I grew up on it. My dad took me to the very first Star Wars in 1977 when it came out at a theater that no longer exists anymore. You know, which kind of makes me sad a little bit. And actually, the theater I saw Empire and Return of the Jedi no longer exists either. Something that also makes me a little sad. But regardless, I went and I saw those movies, and I had 1,000 toys, and I dug it, and I read everything about Star Wars that I possibly could. And even though it is very easy to trash on the prequels, I still enjoy them for what they are. I don't expect them to be what they are, like the original trilogy as far as to me. But I remember being very excited to see those, and I remember going to see them, and I remember not being horribly disappointed. I remember enjoying them a great deal, and you know, that was that. So, regardless, I went to The Force Awakens. I was really looking forward to this. Just these are some non-spoilery things. I know I said there was no spoilers. I'm going to get to spoilers in a little bit, and I will give you a heads up when you should, if you haven't seen the movie, you should stop listening if you don't want hear anything as far as the movie went. But here goes. As non-spoilery as I possibly can get, when the lights went down and I got through what seemingly like 20 minutes of previews, when A Long Time Ago on a Galaxy Far, Far Away popped up, I retreated, and I went back to being a young 6 or 7-year-old boy, or like 9 or 10 when I went to Return of the Jedi and stuff like that. And I was just unnaturally giddy with excitement, and I knew I'd feel like that again, and it was great. The effects obviously were amazing. The storyline was very easy to comprehend and understand. It had the old characters, it had the new characters, it fleshed them out really well. It had cool different scenes and planets and whatever, and the whole thing came together really, really well and really, really tightly, and it told a very, very good story. And as soon as it was over, I was like, this sucks, I gotta wait 2 years for the next one, right? I was like already, it's like, I think that's part of that whole Netflix like binge thing, you know, it's like, okay, I want the next one, give me the next one so I can watch that, you know. And so I was immediately disappointed. I shouldn't say disappointed, but I was immediately like, okay, now I gotta see what happens next. And so now, knowing that I have that long to wait before I get to hear it, is. So, if you are a fan of the Star Wars movies, I think you are going to like it. I know a few people are going to poo-poo it for several reasons, but it was highly enjoyable, and I found myself, clapping along with the crowd and getting excited. So, there you go. That is my non-spoilery response. Now, I mean, admittedly, it wasn't perfect. There were some things that I was like, whatever, but it was rather humorous too, and just the right amount of humor injected into the different moments and scenes. So, yeah. So there you go. So that is the non-spoiler. If you have seen the movie, or you want to hear spoilers, you want to hear my keep listening, because I'm going to step into giving stuff away, and I'm going to maybe count to like 20 here in my head, and then you guys. So if you haven't seen it, and you want to turn it off, and come back to it later, by all means. So here we go. I'm just gonna like count to 10, 15 seconds here. Okay. All right. Well, that wasn't 15 or 20 seconds, but I'm pretty sure you figured out that you should not be listening to this if you don't want Force Awakens to be spoiled for you. So, all right. So the original cast, really cool to see them. It was cool to see Harrison Ford. It was cool to see. Carrie Fisher. C-3PO probably had probably the best appearance, if you will, in my opinion, just because it was totally like a pop in, and it was like, oh, because like it was perfect comedic timing for that. Actually, that was like the thing that I actually like laughed out loud for, just because it's like, oh, okay, so you don't really know what the backstory is. Han and Leia aren't really talking or haven't been around each other for a while. And she shows up on the planet, and after they rescue Chewie and Han or whatever, and they see, and they're kind of like walking towards each other, and you can see the old feelings and everything like that, and you're like, oh, you want this moment, right? And then all of a sudden, like C-3PO, Han Solo, so I was just like, that was like perfect. It was like perfect C-3PO, and I had to laugh at that moment. And the fact that he had a red arm, whatever. Will that guy ever just be completely gold? Because remember he had the silver leg or whatever. But all right, so that was cool. It was cool to actually, correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be wrong on this, but I thought that Chewbacca's bowcaster shot green, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch Return of the Jedi, because I think I remember that's the one time you got to see him. He shot like a scout trooper, but it was cool to see that his bowcaster was actually like super powerful. It was like blasting people left and right, and they had Han even like that kind of bugged me too. He's like, hey, can I use that for a second? And like he shoots it. Like, are you serious? Like, you've never seen Chewie like use his bowcaster before? You've been around each other for 30, 40 years. So, I mean, there was stuff like that. Just little niggling things that, like, kind of bother me. I mean, usually... But, I guess I should expect that just because of the fact that, when they did Star Trek, it was just, like... Abrams did Star Trek, there was just all kinds of stuff like that. It's like, what? Why? So, I mean, you kind of had to turn your brain off for a few of those things, and that kind of bugged me. I mean, obviously, there was other Star Wars movies that did a lot worse with that. Okay, so... Kylo Ren, was cool, but then, like, when he takes off his mask, it was like, he looks like he's 12, and, like, I couldn't really buy into the fact that he was, like, this really super evil guy anymore. It was just tough. I mean, like, when he had the mask on, he had the voice and everything like that, it was easy to, like, see it and kind of, like, go, oh, okay, yeah, he's kind of a badass, but, as soon as he took it off, like, I was just, like, I felt like I was just, like, watching, I can't think of the teenager coming of age movie that he reminded me of offhand right now, but, I mean, it was just, it kind of drew me away, from me seeing him as being a tough guy. My initial gut when they were like, oh, Kylo Ren, it was just like, oh, he's got to be, when they kind of hinted at the fact that he was like kind of a Skywalker, it was kind of impossible for me not to think that he was Han and Leia's kid. Just like it was impossible for me. I didn't think they'd kill Han off. I honestly didn't think they'd do that, and that's like the big spoiler, obviously. I didn't think they would kill him off. I honestly thought they were going to kill Chewbacca, and when Chewbacca got shot, and got hurt, I thought that was kind of like the lead-in, to killing him off in the show. But, I thought they'd keep Han around for at least one more episode. But when he went out, and I liked the fact that he called Kylo Ben, which was kind of neat that was his name, like obviously named after Ben Kenobi or what have you. I liked the fact, but as soon as he walked out on that catwalk, it was just like, yeah, he's going off the side. Probably after being stabbed by the lightsaber. So it was just kind of like, but it makes sense. I mean, because Harrison Ford said he wanted to kind of retire the Han character and he didn't want to do it anymore. I thought it was really cool that Chewbacca shot Kylo with the bowcaster, and that was pretty cool. So a couple of things that just bugged me. It's like, so we're eventually going to find out, I'm guessing, not Poe, Finn's background, because he's just like, who knows, like, they aren't cloned anymore, right? So, but they didn't really touch on that at all. I guess it would be cool if he was Lando Calrissian's son or anything like that, which kind of bugs me. Why isn't Lando in the movie? Maybe he'll show up now in the next one because Han got killed or something. I mean, I could see that, and I think it'd be cool, to see Billy D. Williams doing that character. But my initial gut tells me that Rey is Luke's daughter, and that's what my gut is telling me. Just why else would the lightsaber be calling out to her? And that, I mean, that scene was just kind of thrown in there, and the lady with the big googly eyes, all giant eye alien lady or whatever on that planet. All I could think of was the girl, the woman who made the costumes in the Incredibles. That's all I could see when I saw her. So I mean, it was stuff like that bothered me. Oh, the fact that R2-D2 hasn't activated or done anything for whatever, this for how long, and or like all of a sudden just because the plot needed him to like come to and like provide the entire map or whatever, we just kind of was like, that was lame. They had Max von Sydow, and he's like, oh, an old ally, Max von Sydow. It's like, oh, and he's in the movie for like 5 minutes and they kill him. It's like, well, what was he? I mean, I wish I knew the backstory of his character. I wish I knew more about that. There was the cool scenes, like Rey, obviously she was living in the husk or whatever, or of the AT-AT. I mean, I thought that was really cool. I liked the fact that she was like, digging for scrap in the, giant, wrecked Star Destroyer. I mean, kind of neat. It was just, the whole thing about at the end, her going to the planet and landing with the Millennium Falcon. Oh, the Millennium Falcon, the mention, it's like, oh, are we taking that? No, that pile of junk? No way. And then, like, they shoot the ship or whatever. I thought that was cool, and then all of a sudden it's the Millennium Falcon flying away. But how stupid was that, though? All of a sudden, the Millennium Falcon, we take off, we get up in the air or whatever, and, it breaks down, because it's the Millennium Falcon. Of course it breaks down. And they're fixing it, and, Han Solo just happened to be near that portion of the universe, and then comes back to, like, reclaim his, come back and reclaim, his ship. I did like the fact that when Finn was shooting the turret, it was exactly the same. Like the artwork and everything, just like in the original movie. They didn't enhance it up or anything like that. I thought that was pretty cool. It was cool that they did that. The graphics or whatever, the CGI or what have you. I didn't like, though. I'm saying I didn't like a lot of times, but I mean, there was a lot about the movie. I mean, the movie was fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun watching it. But I mean, like I said, it was just, it did feel like a lot of it was really raced, and really, really forced. I mean, all of a sudden it was just like, what, Finn and Rey are in love or something. I mean, it was just kind of like, they got thrown together and now they were in love. Or, I mean, they're leading to that, I guess, is my opinion, or it feels like that. But, technically, I mean, that's what the first Star Wars did, too. It was just all of a sudden people just got thrown together, and they had to rely on each other to, complete this mission. Like I said, I'm not really happy about Han being killed. Han was, like, to me, he was the coolest guy in that universe. But I realize why he got removed. Just because he's a perfect... It propels the story forward. It removes him from the Millennium Falcon. So now the Millennium Falcon is Rey's, and Rey can have Chewbacca as the co-pilot, and we still have that tie-in. I thought the whole thing with Captain Phasma, like, basically in 2 scenes, and did nothing. I mean, here you have a female stormtrooper. That could have been really, really cool. Explore that. Explore that character. As far as I know, that's the only female stormtrooper. Tell me more about that person. And maybe they will in the future. I don't know, but it's just kind of like, it seems like they just left that on the table and just didn't do anything. The whole Emperor Snoke or whatever. I mean, it's just like there's so much story that we know nothing about, because they're mentioning these characters and these things, and it's just like we just don't get to know anything about them, and we're just expected to, like, I don't know, just wait and have the exposition happen. But I mean, I don't know. To me, that's annoying. I guess I would have really much appreciated not coming into the storyline, 20 years later. But I realize that's just the way it's going to be. So overall, there was a lot to like about the movie. The action sequences were great. The dog fighting between the X-wings and that's okay. Where are the A-wings? Where are the B-wings? Why was it only X-wings? I don't know. But so I think I saw Y-wing in there at some point. But I mean, it's 20 years later and we don't have like those. I mean, it was cool to see even Nien Nunb in there. It was cool to see Admiral Akbar. And there was a lot of like, hey, it's that guy moments, as far as like, actors, in there, that I'd seen before. Like, the guy that could speak to ghosts that was from Lost. I can't remember that guy's name as actor, but he was like an admiral or a general of the rebellion or I can't remember what it's called now. The Resistance. Sorry. So stuff like that. But there was so much to really, really like about the movie, but I felt that I couldn't just completely dive into it, if you will. I couldn't buy completely into the movie. There's too much that was holding me back. It's one of those things where you couldn't, like, when Abrams did the reboot of Star Trek, he was able to reboot it. I mean, like, really reboot it. Like, okay, this is the new Kirk. This is the guy who's going to play Kirk. And you couldn't do that with Star Wars. You couldn't reboot and say, this is the new Luke, or anything like that. So, it was tougher for me to, like, completely buy into it and be swept away. I guess it's one of those things where the inclusion of the characters that we know and love was the base, but it isn't their story. This is not going to be their adventure. They're going to be ancillary. And so they had Han Solo be very, very important in this one, but then they, offed him, killed him off. But that was to propel the story forward, to make us theoretically hate Kylo Ren, but you can't. That's the one thing it's going to be tough to, like, because there's some sort of redemption there. There's something that's going to, have to happen in the future to bring him back. And so, and the fact that I'm not buying into the storyline and I'm not like, oh, it's got to do this or that or the other thing. The fact that I'm not, fully, immersed or whatever, into it. I'm thinking beyond this episode. I'm thinking beyond it. I'm trying to think, okay, what are they going to do? How are they going to redeem him? This sort of thing. Kind of like now the movie feels like it's just kind of like dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And it's kind of like, in a way, to bridge a gap, it's kind of like for me, the fact that the Game of Thrones TV show is going to tell me how those books end. And it's not going to completely ruin the story for me. I'm still going to want to see how we get there when I read the books, but it isn't the same. And so here I have this thing where it's like, I can't just sit back and relax and enjoy the movie because I'm thinking too much about where they're going with it and what they're going to do with it, and which old school characters are still going to be important and which ones aren't, and which characters we're going to involve and everything like that, and how are the other movies, how is Rogue One going to fit into the storyline and as far as the timeline goes, and when they do the Yoda movie or when they do the Boba Fett movie and things like that, how are those going to tie in and stuff. And so I'm more interested in the scope of the movies and the universe than I am about the film itself. And maybe that's a problem with me and my problem with how I'm viewing it, but ultimately it's detracting from my enjoyment. If you put a gun to my head and said, give me a 1 through 10. What would you rank it? I'd give it about an 8.5 or an 8. I really, really enjoyed it, but I mean, it was just kind of like there was too much of that little tiny like Machine of the Gods stuff going on. Just like, oh, and we have no idea where Luke Skywalker is. Oh, R2-D2 woke up. Oh, thank goodness. He's got the rest of the map. And BB-8 is cool, but you know what? I'm an R2 guy, and that kind of annoys me. And I'm glad that R2 was with Rey and Chewbacca at the end, which was good because Luke needs to be with R2. Those two are supposed to be together, and I'm glad they went there. So there you go. My fearless prediction did not come true. Chewbacca lived and was not killed by Captain Phasma. I thought that was going to happen, but obviously it didn't. I'm going to guess that somehow Ben or Kylo Ren now got perverted to the dark side and killed off the rest of Luke's apprentices or whatever, and then he had his daughter, and then he dropped her off on Jakku with, I don't know who, but dropped her off with somebody to protect her, and then he had to leave, and maybe maybe Rey doesn't realize that's her father. I don't know, but I mean, it was a good final scene of actually getting to see Luke Skywalker turn around and see Rey, and Rey handing him his old lightsaber. So I thought that was pretty awesome. The lightsaber that was Luke's father and Luke's, So there you go. That's my thoughts on The Force Awakens. It was obviously, in my mind, it was obviously way better than any of the prequels. And it wasn't as good as A New Hope. It wasn't as good as Empire, but it's like right around the same, like for Return for me. Maybe a little bit better than Return of the Jedi. But, and that's probably just me being the old guy that I am. Those three movies, that original 4, 5, and 6, just are so near and dear to my heart. It would be really, really tough for any of these new slick movies to be. Just like there's no way on earth any Abrams new Star Trek will ever be better than Wrath of Khan to me. Just because Wrath of Khan is amazing. So, alright, so there you go. That is my thoughts on the movie. If you have any of your own thoughts and you'd like to post them, please feel free. And I hope, really, really hope you didn't watch any of this for the spoilers or anything, and you turned it off prior. So, if you did and you didn't catch all the things where I said, spoilers, don't watch, I feel bad, but you probably should have believed me when I said I was going to talk about the movie. So, alright, there you go. Until the next time, well, you know what, just tune into my weekly show, the Alaboom, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Central, where we talk about all things geeky every single week. Alright, take care. Bye-bye.